Good morning, everyone. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our live stream. Warning, caution, alert. This is going to be all signal. Everything we do and we share here is signal. We do not change our opinions like the wind. We are strong in our beliefs. They are well formed. And regardless of the FUD, regardless of the toxic negativity, we hold firm. It's who we are and it's what we do. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Make sure you do subscribe. There is the word on the street that Bitcoin will not break 100,000 until we break 100,000 subs. Whether that's true or just a rumor, we will soon find out. We will soon find out. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Glad to be here with you all. We got a lot to unpack today. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are as well. We're starting off with the CPI, right? Everyone by now is aware that we just had the headline CPI, inflation rising to 5%, beating expectations. Core CPI up to 3.8%, the highest since 1992. Let's take a look over here. We could see that core CPI, right? The huge outlier soaring 3.8%. Look at the jump over here. The hottest level of inflation since 1992. Is it transitory? That's the question everyone is asking themselves. That's what the market is digesting right now. We will be taking a look at price because at the end of the day, price and price alone is the deciding factor. And then we'll take a look at what the market is looking towards next because the market is always forward looking. We're seeing goods and prices up 6.5% year over year. The highest since 1982. Does it make sense? Do you remember back a year ago, back in April 2022, end of March, what happened? The Federal Reserve increased their balance sheet by $4.2 trillion. What did we say over here from day one? What did we say over here? We said, if you weren't here yet, if you're just joining us, that QE is hyper, these are the words we used, hyper asset inflationary. What have we seen since? Right? Who got it right? Who got it wrong? It's the questions you need to ask yourself. When people right now are saying to you, Well, you know what? It's clear now that we have inflation, and I think the market's wrong, and that we're going to go back to a deflationary period. You have to ask yourself, well, for the past year, have they been on the right side or the wrong side? And now that they're saying or folding and say, okay, now it's clear the inflation's here, but I think the market's wrong. And it's a crowded trade because I didn't see it coming. You have to pay attention to all sides, but definitely, give a little bit of a notch, carry a little weight to those who have a history of being on the right side of the market. The question right now is whether or not this is transitory or not, right? What else is going on? By the way, what the market is looking forward to next week is the FOMC. They're going to be, it's not clear, right? Look at the market's reaction. Let's start off with the DXY, whipsawing around. Let me come back down to the 1 hour time frame with you. Just let me go on the 30-minute time frame, right? CPI print, all of a sudden dollar starts rising, and then it sells off, skips back up, and is now back down towards the lower end. Lots of whipsaw out there, right? We not only have the CPI print, we had the ECB press conference at the same time of day. We'll look at FX in a little bit. Let's focus on what's going on over here in the market's initial reacting. The S&P futures, right? Opening up in 20 minutes. The equity markets over here, they're still unchanged on the day. That means to me that the market is saying, I'm not really sure what's going on. The question that everyone thought was going to be answered today, is it transitory or is it not? I don't think either side really has the answer to that question. Everyone's going to be looking next week, next Wednesday, to the ECB, to their statement and to the press conference to hear what Jerome says. And Jerome is going to say what? A lot of nothing. He likes the markets up at these levels. He doesn't want to do anything to spook it, right? Will he be setting up anything coming up in August in Jackson Hole? We'll find out. No one has a crystal ball. But right now, Nasdaq liking it. Nasdaq off the lows of the days. Look at this beautiful TA right here. Here's our line of resistance, right? Price consolidating under that resistance, and then it couldn't make the breakout. So what happens? It comes back, tests the support down here. Finally, yields come off hard, right? The 10-year comes off hard. We'll look at the 10-year in a second. First, let's focus on the Nasdaq. And then all of a sudden, Nasdaq takes out the resistance, right? Quick flip into testing that as support, resuming off, and then 1, 2 tests so far. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you a couple things. If you break below here after 1, 2, 3 tests, good chance we're coming back down. Today, though, it's looking strong, right? Testing that resistance, spiking up over here. What are yields doing? Because the Nasdaq right now is pretty dependent on yields, and they're dead center in the medium of our bull flag. Not much of a read over there. Market's undecided. Next big move is going to be a breakout over here. Whether it's a breakout to the upside or to the downside, is that going to be dependent next week on what happens on the Federal Reserve? There's a good chance. I said, warning, this channel's a little bit different. It's not sensational. We put in a lot of work here each and every day. And if you're committed to working hard to see results, this is for you. Greg put out this beautiful, by the way, also of news today, Warren Buffett has bought $500 million of rat poison. Warren capitulating here, buying $500 million of rat poison squared, right? Look, is this the smart money or is this money really late? You have to ask yourself. Greg over here putting out this morning on the Discord, really beautiful, right? Sharing the song that he heard. It captured Jordan's style and the way that I feel the conquering the market vibes. It's an attitude for success. You go round and around, right? But we go through. It comes down to having an execution mindset. Execution-focused people address the matter at hand and avoid the distractions surrounding them. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Greg, for sharing that with us. Let's get back to this over here, right? A lot of people don't like this. Why don't they like that? A lot of people want to know, what do I do right now? My time preference is so high, I want to know what to do right now. I don't like the idea over here, May the 14th, of saying things are unclear, the waters are really muddy, get neutral. I'm getting neutral, right? Now this is talking about trading positions. Trading positions, people with that higher time preference. I don't know what to do, I'm getting neutral, right? And has that changed? No. Things are still very unclear. Nothing's changed at all. Actually, we're right into this resistance right here this morning. Let's take a look real quick. Let me jump over to here. Let me pull up the chart. And you can see this morning, we're right into the resistance, right? Now, break above this bit of resistance over here. Does that open up the upside, the top side over here? It does. Things become a little less muddied. It doesn't mean that you should be in a rush. Actually, you should not be in a rush right now. You should be waiting for that clarity. You should be waiting for momentum. And I'm very clear that this line up here, the prime trend line, right? Once price breaks above that, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's next week, next month, or not until September, that's when the momentum is behind your back. That's when you could start. That's when I will be trading. That's up to you what you decide to do. Now, that doesn't mean everyone zoom out, right? Zoom out. We're in the, from my awareness, from what I have from the very beginning outlined, we are mid-cycle. I know a lot of people all over the place. They're very bullish one day, very bearish the next day. The models are all broken. Jordan, your model's useless, Jordan. The models are all broken. Price is going to $1 million. And then a couple of weeks later, Jordan, the models are all broken. Bitcoin's going down to $9,000. Everyone's all over the place, right? And I'm holding strong. And what do? Right? Well, spot position, we're off 50% off the all-time high mid-cycle. Well, I'm gonna dollar cost average in 39,000, 33,500, right? It's not to say if you have a lower time preference looking to exit at the cycle peak, you cannot use this as an opportunity. But if you're trading, and a lot of people like buying into resistance, a lot of people chase price to the upside. If you're watching this video right now live or on the replay, if you enjoy the time that we spend together or learn something new, please smash the like button. Please let them fly. Smash the like button over here. All right? So people buy as price. Remember, price is coming down over here. Everyone's fearful. Fearful and ugly and toxic. And I'm like, okay, I'm buying the dip. Nice and calm, nice and easy having that where. And then price pumps up into the resistance and people want to buy here. You have to wait for price to break above here at this point. Do not buy into resistance. Jump down to the 2 hour. You can see so far it's holding as resistance. Price spiking above it. What happens next? We have no idea. We are into strong resistance. It's held now for a month. For going on a month now, this has been providing resistance. This line of resistance, which is a clone line of this trend line over here, just clone the prime trend line, put it down over here. You could see where it was support, right? Support, broken, resistance. That's where we are. You don't need to have any further clarity but knowing we're into resistance right now. You don't need to know where price is going tomorrow because we don't know. We have models, we have ideas, but we'll take it slow. Right now, things are still unclear. And you have to be comfortable and you have to be good with that. I am. I'm very calm not having that clarity. It's good stuff. All right? Big deal. FOMC next week. Market's going to be waiting for it and watching it. What else are we looking at next? By the way, this was shared by Ace yesterday in the Telegram. It's been shared all over the place in different ways. William, by the way, Clementine, right, shared this over here on Twitter as well. And as price was breaking down, I wanted to say that often these moves could be a fake outs that lead to big moves to the upside. I didn't have the opportunity. So I just didn't have the opportunity. We were just coming home from the hospital. Right now, the kids need lots of attention. There's a lot of change going on. They don't know what it is. They're happy, but at the same time, they need lots of love and patience right now. Over here, price breaking down and then coming back up. If we break this resistance here to the upside, this could be a very powerful move, right? What it's called technically, if you look in the Encyclopedia of Technical Analysis, I have no idea. I call it a fakie, like a fake out. We'll see what happens. We're just into that resistance right now. Until you break above it, it's just resistance. All right, what else are we looking at over here? This tweet, if you saw it yesterday, some of you saw it yesterday. I said the odds of a super cycle, right? Thank you, Alan. Alan's been putting out some beautiful threads over there on Twitter. Alan, thanks for smashing that like button, getting us going over here. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love very, very much, right? Odds of a supercycle have now risen like lava from an erupting volcano. This was the tweet yesterday. What does it mean? Do I now believe that we are entering a supercycle? And if so, and why? And what would that look like? What are you talking about, Jordan? Probably a better analogy would have been, you have lava, magma bubbling right now, right? Permeating. Get it? When those things explode, then they explode, right? We're not really erupting right now, right? The odds are increasing. I used to put the odds prior to yesterday at about 5 to 7% that we would have a supercycle, right? What is a supercycle? A supercycle could be one of a few things. Let me pull up the halving tracker just to give you an idea of past cycles, to give you an idea. A supercycle could be price increasing to the upside. We have a range. We only have 2 data points that we look at, 2 previous 4-year cycles, right? You ever notice there are other people out there who believe that they're good at math, and they say, why would you consult past data? And then they consult past data to show you that, like, oh, look, diminishing returns. Isn't that funny that people don't pick up on that? Do you find that ironic? I do. Did you ever think about that? Or did you just take it for what was being fed to you, spoon-fed to you, and just believe it to be true because they said they're good at math? Oh, all right. Let's get back to it. If we break out $800,000 to the upside, I would consider that a super cycle. Something is different than the mean we have on the upside. A super cycle could also be in the bear market, then we have less than an 85% drawdown. Where does that 85% number come from? In the previous 2 cycles, we had an 85% drawdown from the peak. And then in the other cycle, the last cycle, the 2016 cycle, we had an 84% drawdown from the cycle peak. Bear markets so far have had an average of 84.5% drawdown. That if we have a 60% drawdown, that would be considered a super cycle during the bear market. You have people out there, macro bros, talking about that Bitcoin's going to trade like a commodity, and now that we're only going to see a 60% drawdown. We just had a 53% drawdown in the bull market phase. If that's any indication of what's to come in the bear market, I would not be in the camp that we're going to have only a 60% drawdown. I am still in the camp that the 4-year cycle playing out from the halving event, the greatest catalyst in the crypto market is the halving of the miner's reward every 4 years. That sends the supply shock, sending price over here to reprice itself. The halving is not priced in. Will people continue to front run it? This is what front running looks like. This is what front running looks like. We will front run it. After the capitulation, when the fear index is through the roof and everyone is shook, and people are talking about Bitcoin going down to $1,000, we will be buying, front running the halving. Trust me, we will be there. My base case is that the 4-year cycle continues to play out. The odds have risen. The odds have now risen to probably between 8 and 12% that we could have a super cycle. That's pretty significant, from 5 to 7% to 8 to 12%. It's what happened? A couple of things happened. Right? This was unexpected. I did not expect the first country in the world to adopt the Bitcoin standard, right? Not only adopt it, they made Bitcoin legal tender, and this sent a signal throughout the world. The IMF today is sending economic hitman to El Salvador to have a discussion, to have a talk. They do not like this. That's signal right there. Elizabeth Warren yesterday, right, on the wire, saying, listen, this stuff is for criminals. We got to get rid of it. Donald Trump, this stuff is a scam. I defend the dollar. They are worried. They are scared. They are very scared because they also see what's coming. If you look, they have Twitter. And as they see in their Twitter feed, all of a sudden, all these, I don't want to say only politicians, lots of politicians throughout South America, as well as economic professors, all of a sudden going laser-eyed. They're getting worried because it's a domino that starts to fall, and then all of a sudden, brrr, if South America goes, they've lost control. They don't get the opportunity to implement the CBDC backed by the IMF's special drawing rights. It's very concerning from them. It's a war. It's just a war. And by the way, El Salvador turning to the Bitcoin standard does not mean we won the war. Get ready for the battle. Get ready for Helm's Deep. It's coming one day. Many of you will not be able to stand toe-to-toe with us. Many of you are too weak. I saw that happen over the last few weeks in crypto. I saw how weak everyone is. They don't understand the bullish case for Bitcoin yet. They don't understand money. They don't understand finance. You will be selling. There's no question about it. That's fine. You still have plenty of time. Understand, know thyself. Know thyself, right? Public companies placing Bitcoin on their balance sheets. That was very unexpected in 2021. That's not something, the institutions, of course. That's what was expected. High net worth individuals, family offices, all of that was expected. Jordan, there's only 30 public companies that have put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. 30 public companies that put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Are you kidding me? When does that domino continue to fall? How soon until it's 100? How soon until it's 1% of the S&P? How soon until it's 5% of the S&P? Right? We looked at the country, what was it, Tonga? You know, we have $700 million. As Michael Saylor said, we have this giant iceberg that's melting because it's standing in fiat and it's being devalued. CPI print, highest in years. What are they going to do? Oh, you know what? Laser eyes. That's what we're going to do. What else are we looking at over here? Signal. You remember over here, right over here, go back, right over here. What's the greatest signal that CTM is watching? The greatest signal we're watching is the expansion of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet of all central banks across the world, right? The ECB, by the way, is not very far behind the Federal Reserve in month-to-month QE purchases. $1.4 trillion a year. Is that going away? The Fed is very clear so far to date, they could change, that they will continue this uber easy monetary policy until the job market returns pre-COVID levels. It's very difficult for the job market to return when the government is subsidizing people staying at home, paying them to stay at home. Right? What does that mean? That means the macro bros, it's not inflation until they start rising wages. What's going to happen? How do people get workers off the couch and flipping burgers? They got to raise the wages. Oh, wait a second. Inflation's coming. Inflation's real. It's not so transitory. And if it's transitory, it's going to look something like this. Now, this is just a chart showing the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. It's not showing inflation. But what happens is big raise, sideways. Big raise, sideways. Big raise, sideways. This is the Fed trying to pull. We broke the system. Repo market broke September 2019 and then capitulated back into, what was it, March in 2020 on the global lockdowns. But what happens is you see a big move up in inflation. They don't lower prices. They don't lower prices. It goes sideways for a while until the next boom and bump up. That's what we're looking at over here. This is real. This is signal. This is why the odds of a super cycle, in my opinion, are increasing. I'm not one, as you all have known, to ever be like, oh yeah, hyperinflation. That's something that could happen. That's something I'm worried about. Inflation, yes, I picked right up on it right away. As soon as the Fed moved, I moved, right? Is hyperinflation real? This is looking at the value of Bitcoin to the US dollar over here in red, right? This is the value of one gold mark in paper marks over here. Everything was when hyperinflation takes place, it happens and unfolds very, very quickly. Now, I think the odds of that happening are very low, but they're rising. I don't think that we're going to see a super cycle because all of a sudden the dominoes in South America and or Asia start falling and we start seeing small countries adopting the Bitcoin standard. I don't think that's going to be the reason for a super cycle. Does it make me bullish? Absolutely, no question about it. The only thing in my view that would lead to some type of hyper Bitcoinization event, some type of super cycle where we broke out to the upside. When I say break out to the upside, taking out that $800,000 mark. I can't find it. You guys all saw it before. Y'all saw it before. By the way, could you smash the like button if you haven't already? Could you smash the like button? It's always the second day after, we take a little bit of break that the flow comes back. but we have to focus over here. We have a lot of work to do. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I don't think that it's because of the laser eyes we're going to see any type of super cycle. By the way, could a super cycle also be not only a breakout to the upside if our range, not only a less of a drawdown, but a lengthening cycle? Yeah, that would also be a super cycle. That also fits the definition, by the way, of the lower one, of a less of a drawdown. And if we have a less of a drawdown, there's no question about that. We're going to call that a super cycle, and we'll also call it lengthening cycle. We'll call it a lengthening cycle as well, right? Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. I do not think that's going to happen at all, right? The reason that we have the bull phase, the bear market phase, and the accumulation phase is because of the halving event that takes place. What else? What have we missed? What do we need to cover, right? Let's take a look over here. Actually, you know what? Let me drop some honey mood. Let me see what's going on with all of you. And then we'll come back and we're going to be looking at what the markets have done as they open up in 1 minute over here. By the way, the first half hour could be very volatile. And then we're going to get into FX and take a look, right? Tomorrow's Friday. Still a good day to trade overnight in London tomorrow. As New York gets to work tomorrow, not a good idea to place any trades. The markets, by the way, by tomorrow could, Monday and Tuesday, forget that. By Tuesday morning should be in a holding pattern waiting for the Federal Reserve. Be aware of your surroundings. All right. All right. I love that little interlude. It really fosters the opportunity for some really important comments from you all. And this helps us continue forward over here. Very important. I really like that. First, a couple of things over here. You ready? What was the one we have over there? El Salvador is Central America, right? That depends on where you come from and who you are, right? Here in Mexico, you might consider that North America. In Mexico, we consider it Latin America. And we consider El Salvador Latin America. We don't actually, South America doesn't even exist. You didn't know that, do you? Central America doesn't exist. That's not how we do it over here. Just because you might live maybe in the US or somewhere in a European country, and you you tell the people in El Salvador they live in Central America, they consider themselves living in Latin America. All right? So let's be careful the way that we view other people's lives and what we believe it is. Right? Jordan, you got to be more humble. Martino, you're confusing confidence with humility. You don't survive 20 years in the market without being humble. You're confusing confidence with the reason why you're confusing confidence because you're not used to hearing it. Most of the people you listen to out there, they're floundering in the wind. They change their view all the time, or they hold on to their wrong view. You're not used to hearing confidence. The confidence is warranted. There's no way you're going to be successful in the markets without being confident. Right? Look at Stanley Druckenmiller, probably one of the most humble people I ever know. Also one of the most confident traders you ever find out there. He's willing to change the position on a dime if he needs to. You're confusing. Who are the economic hitmen being sent to El Salvador? Michael, there's a great book. You could just Google it over here, or don't even Google, search it, DuckDuckGo, or something that really tries to protect your privacy. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Yeah, it should be required reading for all, or at least you should understand, get the cliff notes of what's going on, right? Robot fish. This is an important one over here. Robots will flip burger soon. Here's the thing. Technology is uber deflationary. The Fed right now believes that they could run everything hot. They could print money and be super accommodative because they know that technology is super deflationary. People have confused over the last decade QE, calling it deflationary because of the deflationary taking place through technology. That's a tough one, and we don't know which one wins in the end. We don't know whether or not the forces of deflation are going to override these inflationary pressures we're seeing or not. But we do know, or at least I believe, that once we get to the tipping point, right? And if we do hit that hyperinflation, inflation runs hot, inflation runs, it just unfolds quickly. And that's what we've seen, whether you're looking at the countries, I don't even remember. Everyone's aware of the South African country, Zimbabwe, right? If you look at Zimbabwe, if you look at what happened in Venezuela, if you go back to what happened in Weimar, Germany, it all unfolds very quickly when it unfolds. Right? The odds are increasing. I would say they're still low, but they're definitely higher than they were yesterday. That's what I'm looking at over there. So we don't know. Bears will fight to hold the lower line of resistance. Here, look, everyone saw yesterday. I don't have an opinion on it. Everyone saw yesterday the massive shorts unfolding in the leverage markets, right? I don't have an opinion on that. I don't know why. I don't know who is doing that. I don't know if it's a bunch of retail who are just like shorting into resistance, which is smart as long as they're managing their risk and they flip if the resistance is broke. There's nothing wrong with that. Or if it's some bigger play. I don't know what's going on over there, but there were massive amounts of shorts building yesterday, right? Are they fighting to hold this resistance? Maybe. And if so, it's a very smart play. Right now, the market, not only uncertain, the bears are in control. Now, this area is being defended by the bulls and strongly, right? $30,000. It's being defended strongly. We've had some massive wicks if you look on the daily time frame. 1, 2, now 3. Massive reversal taking place over here. I would not want to be short at this particular moment. If I was looking to short off the resistance, it would come with a resumption down. I wouldn't be building those shorts yesterday as the first country in the world adopted the Bitcoin standard and there was a massive move up. By the way, are we seeing outflows from not only Ethereum, but other altcoins into Bitcoin right now? I think it's a little early if we are. I think that if you're paying attention, there's a really good video. Let me see if I could find it over here. Before I do, let me talk about this really quick. This is the past cycles over here. You can see the RSI coming up for 2 touches. RSI came up really high. This was the double wave. Sold off really hard, right? And then we had a huge move up. In the second cycle, 2016, during the 2017 bull run, RSI over 90 comes off less, still less. Here it goes below 50. Here it comes, 55, and then comes back up for the second wave. Are we seeing something similar happening right now? We had the RSI running hot over 90, right? Childhood friend told me. It's very confusing. Hindsight is always easy. I want to learn from my mistakes always. The thing about the RSI or any oscillator running overbought is that when markets get going, overbought could remain overbought. And just to clarify that for you, could you imagine what the RSI would look like during this whole period? Could you imagine, the overbought could remain overbought. Markets could remain irrational longer than traders can remain solvent, right? Are we going to see something else play out? And is it going to be a massive move to the upside, as you saw during the double wave and the massive move to the upside for number 2 during the 2013 bull market over here as the RSI came down further? Has that happened now, pushing down even further? Are we getting ready for a massive move to the upside? That's the base case. We will see if it plays out or not. I do not have a crystal ball, but I have really good situational awareness. Really good. Look over here. This is Ian's work over here. I tweeted it out. Ian's work and insight on the Ethereum Bitcoin, super valuable in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Look over here. This is interesting in the light green in the background over here. This was alt season number 1, by the way. This was alt season number 2 in the previous bull run. Alt season number 1, alt season number 2. Now, we're seeing a little bit different of behavior this round. We're seeing Ethereum outperforming as was expected, as was said here very early on, right? It wasn't just a few weeks ago when I said, I'm going to move into Ethereum from Bitcoin. I saw that coming out from the macro bros, right? We'll see who was right. I don't know yet. But we're seeing Ethereum and Bitcoin tracking each other very closely, with Ethereum outperforming. If you notice here in the light red, this is the current cycle, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. Do you see over here now that it's matching the pattern of the light green from the previous cycle and coming off right here right now today? Are we looking at this? By the way, it's not until about 2 months from now, or I'll call it 50 days from now, last cycle, where Ethereum went sideways and Bitcoin really ran versus Ethereum. It's still too early to know. Or are we going to continue to see actually Ethereum tracking Bitcoin outperforming? I don't know yet what is happening. I'm watching it. I'm aware of all the possibilities. I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen. I'm just observing what's happening. If you're smart, you do see what's being built on top of Bitcoin right now on its second layers. If you're smart, you're paying attention. If you love the tech, a lot of people in Ethereum, they're like, I love the tech. Then you must really love what's happening on Bitcoin right now. There's a nice video over here, right? Brandon highlighting in it. I love Brandon over here saying, listen, I'm gonna check this out. I want to know what's going on. I don't have to like it. I could poke holes in it. I could share my opinion, but I'm going to watch it because I want to make sure I'm not left behind. I want to know what's happening. Anthony Pompolano talking about DeFi on Bitcoin with Eden Yago. This is a really good video. I watched the whole thing. It's one of those podcasts that you should watch more than once. It's talking about when they're using the proof of work on the Bitcoin blockchain. You already have the miners doing the work, hashing the hashes. And what they're doing is they're using those wasted hashes to actually, instead of just wasting it and doing the work twice, they're using this to confirm on the layer 2. It's absolutely phenomenal what's going on, and it's the fastest thing growing in DeFi right now. It is the fastest thing growing in DeFi right now. Whether or not Bitcoin is actually going to flip Ethereum on DeFi, I don't think that's anything that people are talking about, and they should. They should start watching what's going on over here. If, by the way, we see Ethereum, Bitcoin over here come off and continue to come off, and then like in the last bull market, you see the first alt season was higher than the second alt season. If this first alt season in Ethereum, Bitcoin over here, is higher than the next one, At that point, people have to be wondering what's happening going forward. We've pointed this out before a few weeks ago in the training session, right? And then you have people who are more, I would call them Bitcoiners, are expecting the opposite. They're expecting over here towards the later part for Ethereum to actually making a higher high versus Ethereum. I don't know what's going to happen yet, but I'm observing and I'm watching. All right, everyone. Good session. Good session, right? Jordan, Brad's log chart, retest resumption. Let's pull it up over here. We're not even done. Not even done. We got a couple of more things to talk about, but I'll first defer to Brad's chart over here. Let me pull it up over here, right? Brad's log chart, retest resumption, down scares me, so to speak. Any thoughts on it? Let's check it out, right? So Brad's chart over here, he's got it highlighted for us to circle that over here. We're holding the bottom trend line over here so far, right? The root, also the rational root over on Twitter, continues to put out work on the slope. His slope has not changed as all. It looks to me that right now we've tested the bottom trend line and are trying to resume off of it, right? By the way, what area is the next bit of resistance on this log chart over here? It's coming in right now somewhere around 43,000. Let's check out what that looks like back over here. 43,000, you know. Look at this. This is interesting. Look at this. This is resistance, support, right? Hold on. That's a bad line. Let me put in a horizontal line. Let me get this a little bit accurate over there. Brad's log chart is showing 43,000, right? 43,000 in our chart over there. That should be resistance. That should be red. Just interesting, right? Here you have resistance, right? Breakout, flipped it, that broken resistance into support. Price spiked down into it barely, and then capitulated down. Here's a capitulation taken. Is this a capitulation? I don't know. Just let me point out that I've said since the beginning that, you know, I'm with option A, right? My option A is not that we enter any type of accumulation period. I said all along, if we take out this low over here, May 19th low, at that point, that's when I strongly look at option B becoming option A, and we enter an accumulation period. It doesn't change whether or not this is the most important trend line, because if we enter an accumulation period, if price is rejected here, comes down out, take that lower low, and then we enter into some type of, you know, it's when we break out over here, and it could be into September, that this thing takes off. That's option B. I don't think that's what happens. My option A has always been this is the low, right? And then, you know, when we break out over here, we'll see. I don't know if it's now. I don't know if it's next. We will continue to watch, right? But Brad's line over there, the log chart, is showing some resistance at $43,000. You could see it over here as well, $43,000, right? Brad, this looks good. This also looks good, right? Ted's beautiful art over here, comparing the, you know, lining up our expected ranges, lining them up from the mid-cycle dip. It's including since the halving, since the prior all-time break, the scale dip before the power. We're back within the model right now, back within the lower band of the model, continuing to play out. Yes, if we see over the next 4 weeks, over the next few weeks, over the next, let's get it exactly, over the next 3 weeks, price trading back, you know, between $45,000 and $50,000, it's a lot stronger signal for us. A lot, but right now we're within model, and that remains the case, right? What else over here? I just want to show you this for a bit of perspective, right? So far to date, this current bull market remains an average of the previous 2 cycles. It is outperforming the 2016 cycle in volatility to the upside, to the downside, and in its consolidation. And it's underperforming the 2012 cycle, both to the upside, to the downside, and in its consolidation. It remains an average so far. If you take what happened from the mid-cycle dip in the last bull market, 2017, and you look from where it is at the mid-cycle dip in this blue line over here, looking at the weekly charts, and you put price, you know, to what else played out until then. This is funny though. This is just funny. Do you see how price comes in and tests that broken resistance, the most important trend line in crypto over here, right? It's just funny. You could laugh a little. You could smile. You could put in a lot of work, but you could have a good time doing it. Price would be trading at just above $300,000 if price were to mimic what happened last one. This price so far is showing increased volatility. Is it safe to say that we're still looking in that zone of approximately $350,000? As long as we don't take out that low, it is. You could definitely make the case for that happening, for sure. I see it. You know, a lot of people don't understand how price in 150 days can make those type of moves. They use that to support, you know, lengthening cycles. How could it be possible that price? I mean, you just have to look at the first cycle and the second cycle. Look at the last 150 days for each. And if you're missing it, well, then that explains why you don't think that the halving event is very important. All right, everyone. Good session. Happy to be here with you. Very important. I would play some head snack. I'm going to play some head snack. I'm going to drop them right here, right now.
Markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip the matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room, grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Flow from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
All right, this is true too, right? Bringing our awareness, changing our time preference, getting it solid over here. Bitcoin's always bullish if you have the time preference to hold through 4+ years. How many people have that type of time preference? Bill Gates. Sorry to quote Bill Gates, but he said most people overestimate what they could accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what could be accomplished in 10. Everyone's time preference is so high. That's how we're programmed. It makes complete sense, right? If you listen to kids these days, they play about 30 seconds of a track and then go to the next. That's all they could do, about 30 seconds. My generation, the great Gen X, we could go a little bit longer. But that, you know, the ones before us, the greatest generation, and they put on those records. They sit down and they listen to the music. They feel the music, right? Yeah. So looking at this, by the way, I wanted to share this with you. This is an assessment of hedge funds and people, high net worth individuals, family offices, their expectations of what they're looking at. By the way, these people were all late. They were all late. Did you notice? You want to hear about Signal? Did you hear the head of state? Right? Who are they getting in live spaces with? Are they consulting institutions and hedge funds, or are they getting in there with the Bitcoiners? Right? Who are they consulting? Who are you following? Who are you looking for? Who are you watching? Very important over here. Nevertheless, if you go back to what their expectations are right now for this current bull market over here, you will see that it is approximately, I'm trying to find down page 23. Bear with me. We're almost there. Bear with me. We're looking, right, at their price predictions for the end of 2021. So it's going to match ours very closely because don't forget, I expect us to peak right now somewhere towards the middle to end of October, right? So by the end of 2021, trading significantly lower from where the peak is. Significantly lower. Actually, you know, by the way, if this were a bear market, one of the situational awareness points that I have personally is price comes off 70% within 6 weeks. It could happen. Could we be trading back at 19,400? Anything's possible. It's not the base case or anything close to it, but it is possible, right? They're looking at prices generally about between $100,000 and $150,000. Bitcoin right now is trading at $37,000. Do you think Bitcoin is cheap? Do you think Bitcoin at $55,000 is cheap? At the end of the year, the average individual, whether it's a family office or high net worth individual, is expecting price to be between $100,000 and $150,000. I have to say by the end of the year, it's right on time. It's right on time. People have to change their time preference, and that includes, 4 years. if you today are simply dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, even if it's $100 a month for the next 4 years, as we're halfway through the bull market in 2025, Bitcoin trading above $500,000, overtaking the market cap of gold, you are going to be really happy with your decisions. Now, if you're buying and selling, thinking that you're going to make more money, I think you have to really think about what you're doing and why, right? Right now, people can't take that I'm saying to them, listen, right now things are unclear. You have to wait till we get above this trend line, in my opinion, to be trading and trade with momentum. They can't even take that type of time preference. People don't like it. They want to be told what to do right now and when, right? There was another thing that I wanted to touch on over here, and that was just to clarify, since we're talking about super cycles, does a super cycle only mean a drawdown of less than 60% in a bear market? It could mean outperforming the previous cycle, right? Scaled, if price were to break $800,000 to the upside, that would definitely be a super cycle. Now, people out there are saying, oh, if price breaks above $300,000, that's a super cycle. No, that would be right within the means. That would be right. $300,000, right? That's just within our range, right? But price breaking the 2013 peak over here, scaled $800,000. At that point, in my opinion, you could call that a super cycle, right? Yeah, price $300,000. You're right. You're right in the median between two cycles. That's the expected range. That's the expected. Now, could we have diminishing returns? $160,000. Yep, that could happen. And would it actually be diminishing returns? Yeah, it would be diminishing returns. That would be 1/3 less than we saw in the last cycle. I would say at that point, you know what? I see the case, not for lengthening cycles, but for diminishing returns. Each cycle has performed 1/3 of the previous, right? I just want to be right. I want to know what is right, so I could be on the right side. And that's it. All right, everyone. Thanks for spending the time today. Really, thanks for spending the time. You guys are all the best. CTM is the best there ever was. Have a beautiful day, everyone. I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, tomorrow's Friday. Oh, you know what? I was going to say, I was going to do a training session tomorrow, and I think I will in the afternoon. But we got to take the grandparents to the airport after the live stream. So I'm going to work that out. Maybe we're going to do it on a Saturday. I don't know. I'm going to spend some time today. I'll talk with you all in the Discord. We'll figure it out, and we'll make sure that we have some type of CTM training session. I'm back. We're back, and we got a lot to do. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for it. Do I check my Twitter messages? Not really. When I can, the messages are open, and whenever I see one and I can respond to it, I do. But the odds of getting in front of me on Twitter through a message is not really strong. It's not really strong. Thank you to all the moderators, and thank you to each and every one of you who make this group so special. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the moderators for giving so much to make this so smooth, to make this so special. I'm really grateful for all of you. Yes. Yes. Less. Less. That's a good one. All right, everyone. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'll see you all tomorrow. We're going to do it again. Have a beautiful day, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.